Bom dia a todos. Bom dia a todos. É um prazer estar com todos vocês. Eu sou Antônio Uras, sou presidente da Associação de Ex-Alunos do INSEAD. E antes de passar a palavra
the word
e para o Rafa, para
to
apresentar
Catel and to Rafa,
eu gostaria de
I would like
os próximos eventos que
to announce our next events.
A gente vai ter
We will,
em agosto
in August,
uma palestra
a speech
de corporate governance
on corporate governance by Sonia Concilio, which is part of the administration board and SDG pioneer by the Global Pact of the UN.
Em agosto também nós teremos
in August,
dia 29,
also on the 29th, we will have a speaker lunch with Flávia Almeida.
A Flávia, ela é CEO
Flávia is the CEO
da família Diniz, tá?
And she is the speaker for the Diniz family from Brazil.
E sem mais delongas,
and with no further ado, Catel Legoven,
e apresentar
you have the stand, and she will introduce our guest, Rafael Previlieri and Edu Lyra.
Thank you so much, Antonio, and thank you very much for having me. A warm welcome to all of you here today. So my name is Catel. I work at INSEAD with the Hoffman Institute, focusing on business and society issues. The mission of that institute at INSEAD is to integrate sustainability into everything that the school does. That's what we do. And I wanted to remind everybody that sustainability is about all of us operating in a way that regenerates our natural resources while also ensuring that every human being reach their full potential. If you think about it in economics terms, it's about having an economic model that also value natural and human capital, right? So it's covering environmental and social issues. And the discussion that we're going to have today fits right in that broader context. We will be talking about how to eradicate poverty. And this squarely fits in the sustainability agenda. And just to remind that that's the #1 of the Sustainable Development Goals that were adopted at the global level. And this conversation we'll have today will be a conversation in a particular context, that of Brazilian favelas. But a lot of what we're going to hear can also be applied elsewhere. And that is one of our objectives today. Learn from what's happening there in Brazil, to also enhance action against poverty in other parts of the world. I am very thankful to be here, but I'm just showing up. This event is organized by the Brazil NAA. Thanks to its president, Antonio, thanks to its coordinator, Nicola Harari, who's there in the back and has done all the prep work, in collaboration with the Global INDEVOR Club, the Impact Club, right? Some of you might be coming from that club, and I'm giving a shout out to its president, Cathy Smith. Thanks to the two of you for putting together this event. This event that is bringing you a powerful Brazilian change maker. Edu Lyra, and we will be hearing how through his venture is really making a dent in poverty across the country. While he's well known to maybe a lot of you from Brazil, some members of our communities have been engaged with this venture, either by supporting financially or volunteering with it. We really want to bring that experience to a larger number of members of our community to inspire all of us to do more. So the plan is going to be that I will host this event today with you with Rafael. He's my partner in crime here. You know him. For those of you who are not from the Brazil NAA, Rafael is leading the Brazil INDEVOR Club. So that chapter of INDEVOR in Brazil. Thanks for the good work that you're doing. We'll be hearing from Edu first. So that he will present us what his organization is doing. Then Rafael and myself will ask him a few questions, and then you can also join the conversation through asking your question. But you can already ask your question right away, putting them in the chat, and then we'll pick them up directly from there. Okay? And so, Rafa, thanks for being with me here today and making me feel more comfortable without speaking Portuguese. So over to you to also help me with the housekeeping matters and the translation.
Thank you, Catel, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Before I introduce myself, I just want to remind you that we'll have live translation of the event. So Edu will speak in Portuguese, and if you don't speak the language, you can choose to hear a live translation in English. You can go to the menu on the lower part of your screen on Zoom, and then under interpretation, you can pick the English channel. So then whenever Edu starts to speak, you will also start hearing the translation in English. And now on to my introduction. So I'm Rafael Breviglieri. I'm an MBA 19D. I lead the INDEVOR Club here in Brazil. And I currently work at the Latin American Leadership Academy, which is a nonprofit organization that is developing a new pipeline of leaders, leading the change in Latin America. And sharing this space with Catel and Edu is a true honor for me. As a social entrepreneur myself, I'm Edu's #1 fan, and I look up to him for multiple reasons. The Brazilians in the audience have probably heard a lot about him, but I'll do my best to describe what he means to our country. Edu is doing what many thought was not possible. He's the founder and CEO of Gerando Falcões, an organization that was founded in 2011 and aims to eradicate poverty from Brazil. They have scaled up operations to over 5,000 favelas in Brazil, reaching over 700,000 people with their work. They adopt a holistic approach that puts people in the center and develops sustainable solutions that lead to profound and lasting change in communities. Edu is transforming the social impact sector in Brazil, gathering support from leading entrepreneurs, partnering with the country's largest companies, and transforming Gerando Falcões practices into public policy. But more than that, Edu is a walking revolution. He's a living example of the incredible talent that we have in Brazil, and a proximate leader who profoundly understands the problems that he chose to dedicate his life to solve. He gives us the confidence that while we have extremely challenging and complex issues in our country, we also have the tools and people to solve them. And now we have the privilege to hear from him. Thank you again for the space. Edu, please take it away.
Bom dia, pessoal. Que prazer estar aqui.
Morning to all. Such a big pleasure to be here with you today. And I would like to thank especially to all my friends starting
na favela dos sonhos, e a gente se conectou com a alma, se conectou com o coração e se conectamos também com as nossas ideias. Obrigado, Antônio. Obrigado pela sua confiança, tá?
Antonio. Also, thank you to Catel for having mobilized so many people from the whole world to listen what I have to say, INSEAD especially, or alumni, present students. It's so good to be here with you today. And Rafa, great guy, such a big entrepreneur, but not only for Brazil, but for Latin America. Rafa, I'm so happy to work with you and at the same time, thank you so much. I have no words to thank you and my admiration for you. And I also can see here that my friend Lana Brandão, that is a volunteer for Generating Falcons, that more than a volunteer, she became a mentor. She teaches me a lot through her corporative experience. It's such a big luck to learn with her and become a better person. And I have no words to thank Lana. I have an experience that was born in a shack in a slum in the city of Guarulhos in São Paulo. As soon as I born, I was taken to live in a slum, in a shack in São Paulo. I was born in a shack that had no cement. It was my parents did not have money to buy a crib, and they put me into just a plastic. And my father was very upset because we had no basic sanitation, lighting, no water, no infrastructure, lots of poverty, misery. Unfortunately, my father embarked in the world of crime, and he was arrested for robbing a bank. Actually, well, it's funny to say that all the banks that my father tried to rob are my sponsors today. What a fate. So what can we do? There is I'm going to quote of a famous artist in Brazil, the singer Gilberto Gil. So I have to trust, and I have to be faithful. So with the determination and faith, it's good for everyone. So, but what really changed my life was that I had a mother, a heroine, extraordinary woman, that she never gave up on me. My mother was the first entrepreneurship that I met in my life, that never had a business card, but created a wonderful product. This product is me, and I may well make this product known to the world. And she really believed in me. So when my mother came back to our shack every day, she looked into my eyes and said, "Son, it doesn't matter from where you come from, where you are heading to." So she repeated this sentence every day. So this became a mantra, a truth in which I believed. I really believed with all my heart. So because of my mother, I went to college. I studied, and I wrote a book, Young Falcons, and I published it independently. Well, I had no money, but I had to develop an ability. And I put people to work for me for free, especially for free. I think that this is my great ability. I think I am the best in doing this. And I have the young people from the slums to work for me and to sell this book. In 3 months, I sold 5,000 books. And with this money, I launched Generating Falcons, or Developing Falcons for Life. This has been 12 years ago. And Generating Falcon is a young black adolescent, beautiful. So we jumped from the slums, and we are present in thousands of slums in Brazil, fighting poverty. And our mission here is and we will transform the poverty of the slums before Mars will be colonized. Because I think that we have to start believing again in impossible things. We have to do this at this time of life. So therefore, I was elected by the World Forum, how the 15 young can change the world, one of the 27 inventors that can change the world, and so many other important. And this is, and I am thankful for my mother, because my mother taught me how to choose, how to invent an alternative path. So I love the sentence of the Albert Einstein's quoting that imagination is worth more than knowledge. So like Walt Disney, I had to invent a Disney in the slums. So they need the imagination. My mother taught how to invent, how to get food. So we had no food at home. We had to invent a pet. We had no TV. I had to invent to see how cartoons. I had no bicycles. We were every day, we were imagining new things. So what did poverty make for me? It made me invent new paths to make my dreams come true. And one of the most beautiful things that we invented and we delivered this week here in Brazil, and that Antonio just got to know, and Alexandre, is the dreams, 3D, the digital, dignified, and developed. What we have been doing is an incredible effort in order to make Brazil specialized in separating problems. And with these 3D slums, we combine technology and public policy, and also to break the cycle of poverty. We went in the slum like the mouth of the frog, horrible name, and we reinvented the name, putting the name of the dream slum in order to show that this would be the dream of a new Brazil that creates opportunity for its people. So the slum had no pavement, no drinking water, had no Wi-Fi, they have no infrastructure. Now they have all the things. Houses were miserable shacks and deplorable, with no running water. We built houses, and we built with recyclable materials in 5 days. We reduced illiteracy, and even better than this, we zeroed the life in childhood without schools and unemployment that was 70% against of the 12% of Brazil. And in 1 year, we reduced this in unemployment of 70%, of less than 5%, creating a condition of employment in this slum. Therefore, it is absolutely a systemic transformation, multidimensional, very, very deep, where we create trails personalized on overcoming poverty for each and every family, because the poverty affects the life of Peter, affects John in a different way. So we have to know each individual in order to co-create with the resident of the slum to create a unique solution to effectively leave the degree of poverty. So, because the contrary of poverty is not richness, it is dignity. And the world, the developed world, has to be able to develop an agenda of global collaboration in order to fight poverty and to fight and build globally dignity. We have to give the same importance to climate issues as to social issues, and to put both issues equally, because we are going to save the planet and kill people of hunger. We have to be equal, balanced to both agendas, and to make that this developed world will be able, using science, technology, innovation, saving the planet world and save the poor people from this inequality and poor that is so obscene in the poorest parts of the world. Therefore, what we are doing now, talking about the 3D slums, there's a solution here in São Paulo. In more Tostans, we signed a term of cooperation with the local governments to transform this technology in public policy, in a state policy. So my happiness, that this happiness, there was something that was a solution born from inside to outside. This was not a ready solution that somebody taught in their air conditioning room, but something that we typified in the slums every other day with the residents of the slum. Therefore, I really believe that the solutions and the problems that we have, the problems from the 19th century, can only be solved with innovation. And we are investing resources in technology. We have 120 million reais able. We have the systemic support from Accenture. We are traveling throughout the world, starting from Medellin to Bangladesh, to understand the poorness. and we also fail, and also celebrating our failures and celebrating our learning, everything that we're learning to deliver to the humanity an open source, and this should become an open source for NGOs and governments in order to accelerate the social agenda. As the same as we have a spatial we have to face this as something very urgent, where we are going to invest our capacity of imagination, our resources, in order to raise our technology capacities to the maximum and learn the maximum with our pushers, people that believe that poverty can become something unacceptable among us, and Generating Falcons is a contribution among many other players. And I think that in the developed world, companies became crucial in the world. Companies that have their income higher than many other countries, so they should be responsible before the world. That is fundamental, it's crucial in order to change the world. Well, in order to have those, we have to punch our bubbles, and every time more we have to connect it with the state-of-the-art technologies. And this is a social deal that companies have to do. We cannot only have good products to sell in the market, we have to have relationship with people, and society has to understand that this is crucial in the 21st century, not only for the product that they deliver, but the mission for the cause they defend and how they relate to these causes. I would not be able to create 3D without the companies that supported me, with the company that supported my failure, that said, Edu, we believe you. Go, hands-on, believe. So putting down frontiers, so we have entrepreneurs in the slums connected with the highest executives, both of them relating and dreaming and making this world closer. We are going to become more intelligent, more able to deal with the challenges. It doesn't matter how much money, if you live in a condominium or in the outskirts. The only way to survive in this world is through collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Edu. And this is very hard to do, but you really convey your passion through Zoom. And it's clear, I can really see why things are working with the energy you're bringing. I also want to thank our interpreter. I'm listening to the English version. This is not easy to convey the same level of energy. And Dominique, you're doing great. So thanks for that. Clearly, when we see your leadership, we hear your passion, we heard some of your results, how you managed to completely break down unemployment in the slums. I mean, we also hear your collaboration with public actors and private actors. It's all super impressive. My first question was about, please walk us through exactly how your organization is working with these communities. You clearly said that, it is not a top-down type of policy. You start from the needs of each single family and you connect them then to, the municipalities or the national authorities to change their life. Tell us exactly, how do you and your teams work in this community, in the slums, to make that happen? Thanks, Edu.
Thank you, Catel. The first thing I would like to say is that that we have as our own principle that this transformation has to come from inner to the outside. Nobody understands more than the slum than the one that lives in it, that resides in this environment. This person has to be in the core of the decision. they have to participate in all decision. For example, so we have a budget of 6 million to transform the slum. The resident of the slum, he has to participate in the results. What do we want really? We really want is that in the first phase is making a great diagnosis to understand the physical and human geography and social geography of this particular slum. Once this is understood and we understand the power and vulnerability, we invite the slum to do the civic imagination, to dream and to imagine what we would like to be in the future. And this process defines the criteria of investment. Sometimes the slum asks for an Olympic swimming pool. Well, so what is more important, pavement or the Olympic pool? So we have to choose what is most important, the pool or the library, the Olympic pool or solar panels that capture solar energy and liberate lightning. So we take decisions even together with the children. You know, what is the toy and what is the color of the playing? We can have 10 playgrounds, 1 or 2, but they participate and decide. And the more they decide, the more they become the owners, but they take care and they are part of it. But they are hurt and their self-esteem is being rescued. And even more intelligent we become, like generating falcons, because we listen deeply to those who live in this environment. Therefore, the experience of putting the resident in the center is the most incredible, but this also represents a challenge because it takes longer, because the project is longer, because in the beginning you just listen, like it's stuck, it doesn't move, but the more you listen, the more roots you create, the more deeper it becomes. For there, it's going to work faster. So in the beginning, it's going slower, and then it's going to become very, very quick. This forward process of listening, of procreation, it's something that Brazil haven't made for years. This makes us fail in public solutions. Brazil is one of the best in income transference, but in such an inequality like Brazil, but this transfer of income, it's not a superation and should be superation, not relief. So we have to create mechanisms of social emancipation, to emancipate the poor from their condition. I think that we need to build wings so they can fly, and we can only do with science, with daily efforts, and facing gentle and only to end. It's like a bomb. Everything that you know is that it's going to explode at a given moment. In order to disarm you to a bomb, you first of all, you have a deep knowledge. If not, you're going to cut the wrong wire. Boom. The second thing, tenderness, because it is a bomb. You cannot just touch it. You have to touch it very lightly, careful. And third item, patience. Patience, because we have no social fast food. It takes some time to make a great transformation. But the good news, it is possible.
Thanks so much, Edu, and
muito obrigada, Edu.
And thanks for your metaphor. I think Paula is joining me here for asking from some specific illustration from a particular program. Clearly, we understand the human-centered design approach, which is clearly working. Can you illustrate that how that works? For instance, for an education program or for a health program, for a particular program that you're delivering. And then as it works really well, can you also tell us why the government cannot get it done the same way as you, so to reach the same results? Thanks.
O governo pode e deve.
Government can and should do it, but the challenges of the governments, they were a little bit far in the last mile, because it's in the last mile that life really happened. It's like we would make big deals on environmental issues, but the cities get flooded there in the end because the river they have flooding. So we need exceptional people that work very well in the deep end of the rope. You know, the idea is not to have idea. So we have to have thousands of Laras and Rafas and Edus. These are the fanaticists of the good with ideals, with autonomy to make decisions. This is the difference of the game, and with a very clear mission and we need incentives, not necessarily financial, also of course financial, but above all, they have to be recognized by society in a relationship and what they are able to deliver to the society of the 21st century. An example, for example, related to health, as you asked, Patel, is that we have a telemedicine in the slum where the resident goes into this clinic and he's seen by the best doctors from São Paulo or Brazil online. So the health system of the town, which is weak, and through technology, we are able to deliver health. And the second example is something that we are very worried about: childhood. Brazil has many people that depend on a certain amount that we called family amount, because Brazil did wrong with them when they were children, because they were not allowed, they had not access to child school, they were illiterate, they were not very good. So we do not accept that there are no children into day school. Everybody has to be school. Another thing that we do is the capacitation for a job. We map the vocation of the slum and also the jobs that are available in this city. So we build trail of capacities. And us, after doing this capacitation, we unfold targets with our team that calls to our age of the companies daily and connect this daily to interviews and jobs. And thus we reduce unemployment. So this is a contextualized education. So what does the city have? And with this slum together, what are the jobs available? So how can we do this and occupy availables in the city with the people from the slums?
Thanks a lot, Edu. That's super inspiring, and it's great that you can share this in this level of detail. I think especially for people who are not familiar with the model, it's getting a lot more clear. And I think one of the elements of the model that you shared that is fundamental is the involvement of the local communities and of local leaders in the design and implementation of these solutions. So how exactly does this work? And what are your challenges of working with communities to design the solutions that will be implemented there?
Boa, Rafa.
Well, Rafa, first of all, we project a business office in the slum. We have to be there. The team has to be there. We have to live this problem daily, including now I'm here in my house. I don't live anymore in the slums. But when I start the process of social transformation, like the 3D slums, well, I built one of these houses, these recyclable houses, recyclable homes, in order to live there and to remain there with the residents, living their life every other day in this territory, in order to have the feeling of living in this environment. We try to find people that have the vocation, that are a vocation, and their mission, aim of life is to win poverty. So it is very important to have our age that can find these people. And once we build a plan, we evaluate the quality of this plan. If this plan was built together with the slum, if they have all the details that they need, then we create a great schedule. We unfold target. We loved working with target and knowing what is success, and to combine this success with the slum, because if not, it will become endless. Poverty is multidimensional, complex. So if you don't put together and you don't know what is the target, you will never end. And one day we have to end. We have to leave the slum, and we have to leave them by their own in order to work and walk with their own feet. If not, like you are, like raising a son. When do you stop raising a son? So once they have to get their own wings and fly. These are very important issues for us. And then we go for the most important, that is the takeoff program. Very challenging, because we create paths, individual paths, and personalized to overcome poverty in the slums. And we transform this in a game where the family changes phases. After the child is put in day school, they go to other houses. It's a game, so they get some points. Let's say if they get more literacy, they walk another houses. So our aim is to let the slum engage. But we did not everything well, but we tested, because our main goal target, but we don't want this to become like an alimony. We want them to to face poverty, get up, and then get the support and get all this support. If they only receive support from outside, but when they get up with their family and they face poverty and they say, poverty, I'm not afraid of you. So the science of this is that to make then the slum would be engaged, and to make that they are engaged and that they are able to their own means being able to win poverty. And that's what we do, that we say everything at Generated Falcons. This is a mission, not a plain job. And this is the most important thing, not to have a mission. Let's say it's not like a job. You come home, you see, I had problems at work. But if you have a mission, it is a rescue mission. You don't come home and say, I failed in my rescue mission. So there is a team embarked in this mission. And so everything becomes possible, including winning poverty.
Thanks, Edu. I think you're going to have people like me who are going to start signing up to come and work with you.
Edu, eu acho então que no fim da sua palestra, eu acho
at finding this solution locally, and obviously your objective is one of scale, right? Is one of changing the system so that it operates beyond your own venture. And then the first question that I have, but also shared with AB here in our group, is how do you work with the existing public authority to scale what you do, or to change how they work, so that you can increase the scale of your impact, in particular in a context where the public resources are quite limited. So we need to make sure that these public resources are very well spent. You know how to spend them well. So how do you work with them to change their practice so that they really tackle poverty in an efficient way?
Ótimo. Bom, esse é grande desafio.
This is a very big challenge. Like an example, the governor of the state of São Paulo, Mr. Tarcísio de Freitas, has 34 million reais in cash in to invest in whatever he wants. He is one of the most powerful men in Latin America. 34 billion reais. Okay, and society has to influence these resources. So the NGOs have to develop advocacy capacities to prototype their solution, because in the edge, the government is too big, too huge to test, to innovate. So structures like generated falcons become more flexible in order to innovate. So we have to test, innovate, and to create a innovation framework, a methodologies where you show evidence. That's why we hired Cayman Agency in order to build and to evaluate the impact and raise evidence. In order to do this, we have to be available and to work with the governance, either from the left wing or the left side, without any particular predilection, even because we can't do this, because inflation is not right or left. Inflation, everybody wants them to decrease. We just don't. And with hunger is the same thing. When you are hungry, you don't even care if a right wing or the left wing is working. We just want it to end. Same thing with poverty. We can't make this something like this would belong to a party. And we have to face the bureaucracy of the public machine, which it is huge. But we have a high level of resilience and a very good team resilience, and to find out what are the triggers for this scale. And by the end of the day, find at the end a way how to touch the hearts of people. People make decisions based in emotions, in relationship, and what they see and what they feel. And every governor, at the end of the day, we hope he has a heart. And there is a way to touch the heart of this person. Therefore, we really have to find a way to influence public policies, to do things scalonated. Doing small, it's nice, but doing big, it is really necessary. Either we do it, or if not, people will never leave this threshold of poverty where they live now. Obrigada, Edu.
Still in the same topic of partnerships and collaborating across sectors, I think most of the people here are in leadership position in the private sector as well, and you've mentioned the importance of partnering with the private sector to deliver the solutions that you're developing, and also to leverage the resources that private companies have. So what do you think is the role of companies in tackling the issue of poverty? And how do you recruit company leaders to work with you?
Rafa, antes de eu responder, você é grande
empreendedor. Before answering, Rafa, you are one of them, one of our great entrepreneurship. So I want you, Rafael, to answer this question. You know, you were such an important person. Even more, you transform more than I do. I would be very happy to listen to your answer. Ok. Bom, eu não estava pronto para isso.
I look up to you so much. I think companies need to realize, I think two things. One is just that there is no space anymore for a company to operate without considering the social and environmental impact that they have. I think companies that do not realize that are simply going to end in a few years, in a few decades. I think consumers are a lot more aware of the impact the companies have, and employees as well. I feel, speaking from my own experience, I think at some point you realize that if you have access to a certain set of networks, resources, and skills, there's a lot more that you can do and that you should do when you're in this position of privilege. And I think working for companies that do not have the sense of mission that you described is not sustainable. At some point, you will realize that you need to be working on something that is closer to your mission. So I think it'll be just very hard to recruit people and retain people working for these companies as well. So then I think once they realize that, they can also realize how much knowledge and resources that they have access to that maybe could be put into better use, especially considering the channels they have access to and just the reach that they have. So many companies are basically everywhere, right? Like you have, I don't know, like fast food companies, banks and etc. that have branches in every little corner of our cities and of the world. And just imagine what we could do if we could change a little bit of these companies and put a little bit of the resources, skills, and networks that these companies have access to towards supporting the communities where they operate. So I think there's a lot to be done there, and I don't want to steal your space, so I'll get back to you.
If I may, let me jump in here.
Yes,
thanks the two of you. And let's say I am the CEO of a large company in Brazil or elsewhere. I want to help you today. What's the main ask you have for me? Is that to employ some of these young people in the favelas? Or is that to make sure through my supply chain in Brazil, there is something concrete I can do? How can I help? I call you, I want to help. What do you tell me?
Olha, acho que...
Well, I think that the first most important thing is like, it's like you working with the advertising agency. You want a campaign and they ask you for a briefing. But after 30 minutes of sending a briefing and they send you a campaign, the chances of this campaign not being too good are big because the best briefing is co-living, exchange, the going, being there, the failures, success, the right doings, failures. So the first thing that this company has to do is really to co-live, because signing a check is very easy because there is money in the world. The world is not poor. You know, there's richness. The very difficult thing is to co-living. So companies have to define what are their social agents, there's NGO, or the causes that they effectively want to co-live, that they want to exchange, that the CEO is going to be the friend of which CEO of the slum. What day the CEO is going with his family to the slum, with his executives, in order to go there, to exchange, to become genuine, not only to teach, to go to the outskirts, to listen to them, to understand the life in the slum. When you are able to make this story, and build bridges, then to this build we have jobs, capacitation, partnerships, great donations, huge donations, because philanthropy is fundamental and it is the oxygen for the social entrepreneur. Yeah, and they can, to this speech, we can pass ideas in order to this executives to work with the end of the road, because they're going to understand more from São Paulo, because São Paulo is much more than Avenida Paulista, the equivalent to Wall Street, the equivalent to Fifth Avenue, because they will see how they live where their feet are. Because in order to live like this, you have to co-live. The companies that I have, that with companies which I live, that I cause more impact, are companies that I built friendship, relationship. And this is the most important thing in order to achieve and to change our world and, of course, our country.
Thank you so much, and I think it's very refreshing to hear that the partnerships that you're after are not about money coming in, and they're not just about a remote connection. They're about really engaging and co-creating with you. And I strongly believe also that could also change the mindset of these corporates, so that they also change their practice from within their company. So thank you. I think this is very inspirational. We have two questions from Rasso and Lana about your collaboration with other NGOs. So you have a model that works. How do you work with other NGOs so that they can also learn from that and replicate? And then another part of the question is, how do you work with existing NGOs and collaborate with them so that you all become more than the sum of your parts? Do you have competition between NGOs and social enterprise coming in the way here? Or is everybody good-hearted like you and put the interest of the poor first and foremost? Because we know every organization also wants to survive. So can you answer that about your collaboration with other NGOs? Thank you, Edu.
Bom, assim como
well, the same, we have the car industry, technology, and food industry. Of course, we have a social industry in all countries of the world. The ideal thing is that this industry would collaborate among them and support themselves. This is the ideal. We have been trying to working very strictly with the third sector. Possibly 1/3 or 1/4 of the NGO of the slums is within the ecosystem of Generating Falcões, and we donate to those NGO knowledge that we create college throughout here in Brazil. We transfer millions of reais to this ecosystem, supporting other NGOs that are not supporting Falcons with other owners, because I believe that, because I think that Brazil will change more quickly if we have a strong third sector, fearful and delivering the best. Another example, it is the amount of collaboration that we create in the 3D favela slums with partnership. And like we have like panel solars and Joe that build homes and hiring these companies to build homes, or social startups like like it calls na porta, that's at the door, that delivers the e-commerce to the slums. So this in the slums of the dream slum, it is a new idea of dignity, working in collaboration of the third sector. Lana's question is really very good. It's challenging. And it's worth a debate of the third sector in order to learn how we can work together, collaborate more, in order this would become a and how we could do this quicker. Thank you very much, Lana, for your question.
And I think it's a question that a lot of us have as well. He says here, poverty is a fertile soil for criminality, which many times takes control of the favela, dominating by fear. And we know that this is not the reality of all favelas in Brazil, but it is the reality of some of them. And I imagine this is one of the biggest challenges that you have, especially when you're entering a community for the first time and starting work with the community and understanding the problems there. So how do you tackle this issue of criminality at the beginning of the process when you're entering a community, and how does that also impact the work that you do once you're in?
Boa pergunta, porque...
Very good question indeed. Because the rate of criminality in the slums, I don't think it would reach 1%. 1% of the slum is involved to violence. The majority of the people, the residents, are working people that are focused to find out how they are going to get food for their children. And violence also is a reflex of poverty. For instance, and this slum of the dreams, they have a cemetery, clandestine cemetery. And these people, after all the transformations, they looked for me and said, Edu, you know, we don't want no cemetery. Please, please make this become a park, some beautiful woods with trees, because the contrarians of unsafety, the contrary of unsafety is safety, but the contrary of unsafety is co-living, because when they live together, they feel that they are safe. When you have lightning and slums, and when you have lights and you have a positive income, violence decreases, and you will be able to transform the hostile environment and more accessible environment safer. But violence is there, it exists. Criminal gangs, drug trafficking is there in the slums. It is true, but we have to navigate in these spaces knowing what are our limits in order not to create more problems. This is also social intelligence. This is social technology, and co-live in such a hostile environment is one more of the innovation that we were able to put as a prototype in slums in Brazil.
Thank you so much, Edu. And we are coming to the end, but I'm going to squeeze one last quick question before we let you go. And I would also like to have a short answer, even though it's a complex one. And again, it's coming from AB. It's again about how to collaborate with corporates. How do great NGOs like you work with corporates? The question is, we can see the interest of the company to want to work with you, to have a good image. While they might not pay living wage to their employee, while they might be damaging the environment, and yet they're going to work with you to just, buy their image back. How do you make sure that doesn't happen? It means, how do you make sure you're not working with companies so that they do more green and impact washing?
É muito difícil conhecer.
It's very difficult to know the real intention of all people with whom with whom you work in the social environment. Each one has a motivation and a stimulus to do good, and you have to discover what are the triggers, because the most important thing in the end of the day is to do the good, is to retrieve people from poverty. On the other hand, I can also occupy the position of a judge, or to judge. If not, I will have to form compliance committees to evaluate the intentions of the company, and I would spend endless bureaucratic hours with endless discussions. And life has to be more pragmatic, speedier, because who is hungry is there. You have to get speedier. The only way you can do this is to co-live. Even in the beginning, the intention of this corporation is not the best, but if you co-live, you are able to read them, you are able to influence them, educate them, train and develop a more systemic overview and more genuine. Because every corporation, at the end of the day, is a CEO group that make decisions. They are human beings, that's people that they can evolve in specific agendas. Therefore, I think that the most important thing is co-living, the exchange. The prejudgment comes of not knowing, and this is because you don't participate, the non-exchange. Therefore, we have here in Brazil, we still have, that's why I am mentioning the challenge of co-living. We live in bubbles. I think that in your countries, of course, this happens. We have social bubbles. If we break this bubble, we'll be able to live more together And if we can learn and live together, we will transform ourselves and society.
Fantastic. I think that's a perfect way to end. I take with me this important to participate, and that's your call to action to all of us, to participate, to engage, and to co-live outside of our zone of comfort to help others. Thank you so much for that. Big thank you to Rafa for being here with me and hosting this event. And I'm going to pass it just to Antonio to close us off. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Obrigado, Catel.
Thank you, Catel. Thank you, Eduardo Lyra. Thank you for your inspiring words. Thank you for all of you that participated in this meeting. Thank you for moderating, Rafa, for Belly, Nicole, for helping us always. And I really hope that everybody already got a little bit transformed by the Falcons and everybody is embedded in the Falcon spirit. We will later on, and I would like to ask you to donate. But as Edu said, but sometimes we are looking more than money, ideas, jobs, support. And we have some people in this group, and they do manage Lana that participates actively. This is what we do in order to eradicate poverty in the slums before Mars will be colonized. Thank you so much to all.